The rain swept across the shophouse windows in Galing, drumming gently as dusk painted the sky in fading shades of orange. Inside a modest flat above a Kopi Tayam, 26-year-old Nur Asia Rahman scrolled absently through job listings. Her contract at the hospital had just ended, and even though she had been told she'd be rehired after the audit, the silence had stretched on for weeks. She was used to silence. Since her mother passed 2 years ago, the flat had felt emptier with every sunrise. Her younger brother, Daniel, was out most nights with friends she didn't recognize anymore. He rarely spoke, and when he did, it was always with that tone that made her feel like a stranger in her own home. The phone rang. Not a notification, but an actual call. She frowned. Unknown number. She hesitated. Something about it, the timing, maybe unsettled her. She picked up.
"Asia," said a voice. "Male. Come."
Measured. "Yes," she replied, unsure. "I need you to listen carefully. Your brother is in danger." She sat up, the muscles in her shoulders tensing. "Who is this?" The line crackled, then went dead. Asia stared at the screen. Her fingers trembled slightly, then moved quickly, calling Daniel. No answer. She called again. Still nothing. She grabbed her sling bag, threw on her hoodie, and ran down the narrow stairwell into the humid night. The Kopi Tayam auntie glanced up from her mahjong game as Asia brushed past. "Where are you going so fast?" the auntie called out. "Later, Auntie Ling," Asia said, barely stopping. The streets of Galing were alive as always. Neon lights buzzing, scent of satay wafting from hawker stalls, motorbikes weaving through traffic. But tonight it all felt surreal. Unstable. She sent Daniel a text. "Where are you? Call me now." No reply. She walked faster, her mind racing. Who was that caller? How did they know Daniel? And why would anyone think he was in danger? She reached the overhead bridge and stood for a moment, breathing in the thick air. From up here, the city was just a sea of movement.
Clean.
Structured. But she knew better. Singapore had its secrets, hidden just beneath the surface. Her phone buzzed. Blocked number again. She answered instantly. "You need to go to the old railway platform. Tanjong Pagar. Tonight." "Wait, who are?" The call cut. She stared at the screen. No explanation. Just another command. The old railway station had been closed for years. They fenced off most of it, but people still snuck in sometimes. She remembered her mother once telling her it was haunted. Something about forgotten stories and unfinished journeys. Maybe it was a prank. Or maybe Daniel had gotten into something he couldn't get out of. Her instincts told her to go. She flagged down a grab. The driver looked at her from the rearview mirror as she got in, his eyes scanning her anxious face. "Tanjong Pagar Railway Station," he confirmed. She nodded. "Late to be heading there?" "Ah." "I know," she said quietly. He didn't ask more. As they drove, Asia stared out at the familiar lights of Chinatown and Duxton Hill, flickering under the rain. Memories passed like shadows. Her mother's voice. Daniel's laughter when they were younger. A time when everything still made sense. They reached the station gate. Rusted.
Chained.
Overgrown. The driver waited. "You sure want to go in?" She nodded.
"Yeah.
"I'll be fine." The gate wasn't locked properly. She slipped through a gap and walked along the old tracks, her shoes crunching on gravel. The platform rose ahead of her, shrouded in vines and silence. Then she saw it. A single envelope, sealed in red wax, placed carefully on the bench under the faded arrival board. She approached it slowly. Picked it up. On the front it simply read,
"For Asia.
Do not trust anyone." Her breath caught. In the distance, she heard the echo of footsteps. She wasn't alone. Asia spun around. Nothing. Just darkness and the rustling of leaves in the wind. The footsteps had stopped. Or perhaps they'd never been there. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. Clutching the envelope, she backed away from the bench, scanning the shadows. The station had always felt abandoned, but tonight it was more than that. It was expectant. Watching. She slipped the envelope into her bag, turned, and hurried down the track. Her shoes slipped on the damp stones. The air was thick with tension. She needed to get home, to find Daniel, to understand why someone would leave her a message at a forgotten railway station. Back at the main road, the Grab driver was gone. No buses at this hour. No taxis in sight. Her phone had no signal. Of course. She began walking. Past midnight, the streets of Tanjong Pagar were nearly deserted. Rows of colonial buildings loomed like silent sentries. She passed a shuttered bookstore, its display still lit, casting long shadows across the pavement. She ducked into a narrow alley and pulled out the envelope. The red wax cracked as she peeled it open. Inside, a single folded sheet. He knows what he took.
He knows who's looking.
Tell him to return it. Before midnight tomorrow. No name.
No threat.
But the message throbbed with menace. She took a photo of the note, just in case, then refolded it carefully. Her mind was spinning. What did Daniel take? And from whom? She finally reached her block in Geylang, slipping quietly through the gate and up the back stairs. Her fingers brushed the wooden handrail, worn smooth from decades of use. She paused at the door. Light seeped through from the gap under it. He was home. She entered. Daniel sat on the couch, scrolling on his phone, his feet up on the coffee table like nothing had happened. She slammed the door behind her. He looked up, startled.
Whoa.
What's your problem? Asia didn't answer immediately. She dropped her bag, walked over, and tossed the note onto his lap. He picked it up, eyes scanning quickly.
His face changed.
The color drained slightly. Where did you get this? You tell me. I got a call saying you're in danger. Then I get sent to a bloody ghost station to pick that up. Daniel stood, voice lowered. You shouldn't have gone. She folded her arms. Too late. What did you take, Dan? He looked away, jaw clenched. It's not that simple. She stepped closer. Try me. He ran a hand through his hair. Do you remember Mum's old locket? Asia blinked. Of course. You said you lost it. I lied, he said. I sold it. A year ago. To someone I shouldn't have. Her voice rose. You sold Mum's locket? It wasn't just a locket, Ace.
It's a key.
A real one. Hidden inside. They said it opened something. Something buried under Bukit Timah. She stared at him, mouth slightly open. What do you mean, something? He shrugged. All I know is they want it back. And they think I still have it. Asia sat down slowly. Do you? Daniel hesitated, then nodded. I never handed it over. I kept it. She exhaled sharply. And now they're coming for you. He sat down opposite her. For us. Outside, a sudden gust slammed the balcony door shut. The sound echoed through the flat. Asia stood again. This isn't about the locket anymore, is it? No, he said quietly. It's about what it unlocks. They both sat in silence as the city hummed below them. Somewhere out there, someone knew they had the key. And someone else had just started playing a much bigger game. The flat was silent now, except for the soft ticking of the kitchen clock. Asia stared out the window, her thoughts swirling like the rain clouds still looming over the skyline. Daniel had disappeared into his room, claiming he needed to find something. She didn't ask what. Not yet. 10 minutes later, he emerged holding an old shoebox. I never opened it, he said, setting it gently on the coffee table. I only knew what was inside, because Mum told me once. She said it belonged to our grandfather, that it must never fall into the wrong hands. Asia raised an eyebrow. She never told me. She told me when I turned 15. I didn't think much of it at the time. He opened the box slowly. Inside, wrapped in yellowed tissue paper, was the locket. A delicate gold oval, etched with a symbol Asia didn't recognize, 2 curved lines crossing over a circle. Daniel handed it to her. She turned it over in her hands and, for a moment, felt a strange warmth pulsing through the metal. It opened with a soft click. Inside, no photo. Just a tiny, hidden compartment behind the frame. Daniel produced a paperclip and gently pried it open. Inside, folded impossibly small, was a thin slip of brittle paper. A map. Not of modern Singapore, but something older. Very old. The ink was faded, the markings strange. A series of tunnels and coordinates. One word was still clear, written in careful, old-fashioned cursive. Fort Serapong. Asia looked up. That's on Sentosa. Daniel nodded. Underground military base. Used during the war. Mostly abandoned now. And this map leads to something inside. Looks like it. There's a mark here, an X deep in the lower levels. Asia traced it with her finger. You said someone was after you.
Who?
Daniel hesitated. A man named Rajiv, Indian Singaporean, runs an antiques front in Little India, but everyone knows it's a cover. He deals in wartime artifacts, secrets, blackmail. She stood. If he sent you the message, why not just take it from you? Because he's scared of it too. He thinks something's hidden under Serapong. Something powerful, dangerous. Asia crossed her arms. Then why did you even get involved? Daniel looked away. Because I was broke. And stupid. She sighed. Well, congratulations. Now you've dragged us both into whatever this is. He looked genuinely remorseful. I'm sorry, Ace. I really am. A long silence passed between them. Then she picked up the locket and folded the map back inside. Tomorrow, she said, we go to Sentosa. Early. Before anyone else does. Daniel blinked. Wait, you're serious? We need to know what this is. What Mom was protecting. And why people are willing to threaten us for it. He nodded slowly.
All right.
I'll sort transport. Quiet. Off the grid. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. They both froze. Another knock. Louder this time. Asia moved to the peephole, slowly, carefully. A woman stood there. Early 40s. Tidy hair, gray blazer, no umbrella. Not a neighbor. She knocked again. Then, as if sensing Asia behind the door, she spoke. My name is Inspector Leong. CID, I need to speak with you. It's about Daniel. Daniel paled. Asia opened the door a crack, just enough to see the police badge. What's going on? She asked cautiously. There's been an incident, Leong said, her tone firm. A body was found near Tanjong Pagar Station. And your brother's name was written on the wall. The living room felt like it shrank as Inspector Leong's words hung in the air. A body. Daniel's name. Written in blood. Asia stepped back, opening the door wider. Leong entered calmly, scanning the room. Daniel tried to keep his composure, but his hands were clenched into fists. Tell me exactly what happened, Leong said, pulling out a small notepad. Asia spoke first.
What kind of body?
Who was it? We haven't identified him yet. Male, 20s. His shirt was torn. There was an old railway token clutched in his hand. And your brother's full name was written on the wall in red paint. Or possibly blood. Daniel swallowed hard. I don't know anything about that. Leong narrowed her eyes. Do you know anyone who might want to frame you? Daniel glanced at Asia. Leong noticed. If you're in trouble, tell me now. This isn't something that can be ignored. We don't know anything about a body, Asia said carefully. But he's been followed. Harassed. Someone wants something from him. Leong tucked her notepad away. If you remember anything else, contact me. And Daniel, don't leave town. She left without waiting for a reply. Daniel turned to Asia. We can't wait till morning. She nodded. We go tonight. By 2 a.m., they had crossed into Sentosa on Daniel's borrowed scooter. The island was eerily quiet. No tourists. Just darkened roads and the sound of waves somewhere in the distance. They approached Fort Serapong, fenced off and half-consumed by jungle. Daniel cut the wire silently. Asia held a torchlight, its beam flickering as they descended the mossy stone steps into the bunker. The air grew colder with each level. Graffiti covered the old walls. Broken pipes. And then a sealed iron door. The same symbol from the locket carved into the rusted surface. Asia reached into her bag and pulled it out. She pressed the back of the locket into the carving. With a groan, the door unlocked. They stepped into a chamber untouched by time. Dust floated like mist. On the far wall, a mural, faded but clear. A circle,
A map.
and 3 words. The second vault. A narrow passage stretched beyond. Daniel lit another torch and stepped in first. Wait, Asia whispered. Listen. Footsteps. Behind them. They turned. A man stood at the entrance, tall, sharp-featured, dressed in black. His voice was smooth. You made it. Good. Daniel's eyes widened. Rajiv. Rajiv smiled. I'm afraid I can't let you go any further. He raised a gun. Asia acted first. She threw her torch directly at Rajiv's face. The light exploded in his eyes. Daniel tackled him, the gun clattering to the floor. They didn't stop to fight. They ran. Down the corridor, deeper into the vault. It twisted, narrowed, opened into a domed chamber. In the center, a pedestal. And on it, a strange box. Black stone. Inlaid with gold. Daniel approached it. What is it? Asia whispered. He reached out. It's humming. Rajiv's footsteps echoed behind them. Daniel touched the box. A spark leapt from it. A burst of heat and sound. The chamber lit up, walls glowing with ancient symbols. The box opened. Inside, a cylinder. Metal. Covered in old code. And beneath it, a photograph. Their grandfather. In British military uniform. Holding the same box. Asia's breath caught. He was part of this. Rajiv shouted from the corridor. You have no idea what you're holding. But it was too late. The vault had begun to shift. Stone scraped. Walls rotated. A new passage revealed itself. Daniel grabbed the cylinder and ran. They vanished down the new tunnel. Rajiv followed. The new tunnel twisted downward. The stone turned to metal. Pipes lined the walls. This part was different. Newer. Asia glanced behind. He's gaining. They turned a corner and found a ladder. It climbed up through darkness. A hatch at the top. Daniel climbed first. Asia followed. Above, they burst out into a concrete hallway.
Cold. Silent.
They were in an underground facility.
Desks.
Old filing cabinets. War maps on the wall. And in one drawer, blueprints. Not just of Fort Serapong, but of half the island. Tunnels, bunkers. Hidden vaults. Daniel scanned the labels. Project Sangnila. Asia whispered. That's the name of the first king of Singapore.
A sound.
Footsteps again. But not Rajiv. Voices. Radios. Security. Someone else had arrived. They hid behind crates as torchlights swept the room. Men in black. Not police. Not military.
Private.
Organized. Rajiv's men? Asia watched as they searched the drawers. One of them opened the vault chamber they had just left and gasped. The box is gone. The leader growled. Then find them. The men spread out. Asia tapped Daniel.
There.
Service tunnel. They crawled through the duct, emerging near a maintenance exit. Outside, dawn was breaking. They climbed a slope and emerged near the old barracks. The jungle rustled. Daniel checked the map they had taken. There's a second site. Where? In Badak. Back in the heartlands, they rode quietly. The map led them to a storm drain near Badak Reservoir. Hidden behind a false wall was another door. This time no symbol. Just a keypad. The cylinder had grooves. They matched the pad. It clicked. The door slid open. Inside was a chamber filled with documents. Photos. Weapons. A projector. Daniel flicked it on. A reel began to play. Footage. 1950s. British officers. Locals. Underground sites. A voice narrated. Operation Sangnila. The safeguard of ancient power through wartime chaos. Legacy sealed. Access restricted. Family only. Asia whispered. This was all planned. By our grandfather. Suddenly, Rajiv appeared at the door. No more running. He stepped in unarmed. I don't want to destroy it. I want to protect it. Just like your grandfather. They stared at him. Why kill the man at Tanjong Pagar then? Asia demanded. I didn't. Someone else did. Someone higher. Daniel took a step back. Then who's really after us? Rajiv said 2 words. Inspector Leong. Back at the flat, Asia paced. They replayed every moment. Every clue. Leong had arrived too quickly. Known too much. Daniel unrolled the last part of the map, the underside of the projector film. Invisible ink revealed another message.
The vault is a decoy.
The real key is in the ledger. Asia gasped. Mum's ledger. The old red notebook. She rummaged through the bookshelf and found it. In the back cover, sewn in a microchip. They inserted it into Daniel's tablet. It loaded a file.
Names, dates, coordinates.
Including one marked today. Time, 11:45 a.m. Location, National Archives basement. Daniel looked up. She's going there. Asia grabbed the locket and the ledger. This ends today.